Alright, so I am doing another DC character history, and this is requested from OK on my Black Mass character history, where he asked me to do one about Bronze Tiger. Now, Bronze Tiger may not have the longest history of some of these DC characters today, but it is nonetheless somewhat interesting, and just for anybody to get attuned with him if you don't know about him already. Many of you may recognize Bronze Tiger from other sources of material like comic books itself, or some of the animated movies and TV shows. He was even heavily portrayed for a little while in the Green Arrow show on the CW. I liked the actor they used for Bronze Tiger, I just don't really like the adaptation of him in that show, but it's just my opinion. So known as one of the deadliest martial arts combatants in the DC universe, Bronze Tiger has taken his top of the top tier skills through many trials. He's been around, like being a member of the League of Shadows, the Suicide Squad, going freelance, and even working alongside Batman. He's one of the few characters who has experience being both good and bad, both for long periods of time as well. If being one of the world's deadliest martial artists isn't enough, then you can surely add being considered one of the world's deadliest killers to that as well. Now, like we usually do, let's look at some of his character data before getting into his full history. So for his debut, there's kind of two different debuts, and I'll explain. His first debut was Richard Dragon Kung Fu Fighter, Volume 1, Issue Number 1, from April to May of 1975 as Ben Turner. His second debut, or his first debut in a sense, was Richard Dragon Kung Fu Fighter, Volume 1, Issue 18, from November to December of 1977, because that is where he debuted as Bronze Tiger. His real name is, like I said, Ben Turner, or Benjamin Turner. He's had many different bases of operations, but his main ones are either Gotham City or Elf Iban, which is a hidden sanctuary for the League of Shadows. His height is 5'11". His weight is 196 pounds. His eyes are brown and his hair is none. His allies are Richard Dragon, Ra's al Ghul in the League of Shadows, the Suicide Squad, and Batman. And his enemies are kind of just everyone, because he can act as a mercenary, or he can act as a helper who is sent to go find someone specific or take down someone specific. So just, I guess you could count the entire DC universe. Ben's dark beginning. At the age of 10 years old, when he was raised in Central City by his two parents, he witnessed his parents get attacked by a burglar in their own house. Defending his parents, Ben grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed the burglar to death. In one sense, it was a deed that saved his parents in a way a child should never have to do. In another sense, it was terrible, since after stabbing the burglar repeatedly, he shocked himself into how good it felt. Over the next couple of years, Ben would take up various martial arts classes in hopes that it would dull his homicidal urges, but it didn't work. He then turned to crime, which of course is not a good idea, and he himself understood that. Knowing it would only end with him in trouble, or worse, jail, Ben left and traveled far to the east so he could find his true self and come to terms with who he is. This is where he finds himself in Japan and meets O Sensei, a legendary martial artist, and where he also befriends another recruit, Richard Dragon. The Tiger and the Dragon. After training together in combat, history, philosophy, and science, O Sensei sent Ben and Richard to find their destinies. They were almost immediately found and recruited by a man named Barney Ling from GOOD, Global Organization of Organized Defense, a mysterious global peace agency. Becoming a duo who would take down slave rings and international spies, they would also set up a dojo in New York City. A little while later, it's discovered that Barney Ling is a traitor and was working with a professor named Ojo, who was trying to brainwash Ben Turner into becoming the Bronze Tiger. After cutting ties to Barney Ling and Good, Ben and Richard are hired by King Faraday with the CBI, Central Bureau of Intelligence. They are then tasked with taking down the League of Shadows. Some time has passed between their situation with Good and where they are now, because during their mission against the League of Shadows, the League discovers both Ben and Richard and also kills Ben's fiancée, Miyoshi. After doing so, they find success from Professor Ojo's earlier attempt to brainwash Ben Turner and completely turn Ben into the Bronze Tiger, an identity that he can bury all of his past burdens in and a mask he will use to become an assassin for the League. During his secret life with the League of Shadows, Ben would become feared worldwide as Bronze Tiger and even became a famous assassin on 3 continents. He would even train David Kane and Lady Shiva's daughter, Cassandra Kane, who would later become Batgirl, in his martial arts expertise. Although his secretive brainwash life wouldn't last forever, as King Faraday learned of the League's manipulation on Ben. King would then ask Amanda Waller for help, who then sent in Rick Flag and Nightshade to grab Ben Turner so that Waller could deprogram him. Bronze Tiger and the Suicide Squad. Promising to give Ben pieces of his memories that he was missing due to the reprogramming, Ben joins Waller's Suicide Squad as Bronze Tiger and becomes second in command behind Rick Flag. Since Ben is not inherently bad or villainous, it's mainly his troubled past that haunts him, Bronze Tiger actually acts as the hero or the good guy of the group, ensuring team safety, would disobey orders to save his teammates even though many of them are evil. Vixen is also part of the Suicide Squad support crew, where Ben and her develop a relationship. Rick Flag does seemingly die eventually in a nuclear explosion, where Bronze Tiger becomes leader of the Suicide Squad. Sometime later, during a mission masked in betrayal, one of the squad's members, Duchess, ended up being an Apocalyptian soldier, Lashina. Lashina then captivates many of the team and the Suicide Squad support group. Some don't survive. Confronted by his actions by Waller and many other top executives, Ben's mind finally snaps and he flees once again to the east, even abandoning his relationship with Vixen. About a year later, Waller reforms the Suicide Squad and searches out for Ben Turner to recruit him again. He accepts, but this time around he is a very different and darker man. Although it doesn't take long for Ben to return to his normal self when he sees Vixen in dire danger and saves her. Even though she doesn't feel the same for him anymore, it was their love they once had that unlocked his true and real state of mind once again. In the Suicide Squad's last mission, they venture off to an island that has them travel through a forest, encountering hallucinations of themselves. Bronze Tiger has to face himself. Defeating himself, he successfully defeats his demons and truly becomes a complete person. A person not burdened by his past, aggression, or vile thoughts. After the mission and after leaving the squad, Ben would turn his Bronze Tiger persona into a hero, teaming up with the Justice League, Green Arrow, and even keeping a friendship/work relationship with Batman. New 52, same Tiger. In the new continuity, pretty much everything about Bronze Tiger's backstory stays the same. He's still one of the best martial artists in the world, he has a close friendship relationship with O-Sensei, Richard Dragon, and Batman, and his time amongst the government, the Suicide Squad, and the League of Shadows remains. There are 2 differences though. One, during his time with the League, Bronze Tiger didn't just train Cassandra Cain, he also trained Red Hood in Iban, a sacred city to the League of Shadows, hidden in a maze of canyons somewhere in the Arabian Peninsula. Bronze Tiger would open its doors to Red Hood for sanctuary. And 2, Bronze Tiger would wield a talisman that was capable of shape-shifting him into a primal tiger. Although, every time he used it, a piece of his soul would be stripped away. Well, there is the history of Bronze Tiger. It is more so of a smaller or shorter history than some of the other characters I have done in this series so far. There are, of course, many moments in comic history that Bronze Tiger has showed up in. I just didn't really document it. The points that you need to understand this character, those stories weren't really needed for this. He is definitely a character that gets used from time to time in comic books, but then he is kind of dropped or even forgotten about for another 5 to 10 years. If we do ever see Bronze Tiger in a DC cinematic universe down the line, I would love to see Bronze Tiger having the reputation of being one of the world's best fighters, and I would also love to see this talisman power. I would like to see him turn into a humanoid tiger, which could give him a significant power boost. I think this would be a great character to maybe show up in some sort of Suicide Squad project, in someone's TV show. It doesn't just need to be about him. He could be a supporting character, although I do think there are some cool things you could do with Bronze Tiger. That is it for this DC character history, everyone. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Bronze Tiger, and let me know if you'd like to see him again in the future. If anyone has any recommendations of another character they'd like to know more about, let me know in the comments down below, and I will add them to the list so I can get to them at a later date. But that's all I got for you on this one, guys. So until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.